Tell them all that as soon as I can walk, I'm going to fly. This was the start of a telegram stunt pilot Bessie Coleman sent to a newspaper in late February 1923 as she lay in the hospital in Santa Monica, California. On the morning of February 4th, while en route to Santa Monica to Los Angeles, Coleman's biplane, a Jenny, let her down. Shortly after takeoff, the motor stalled and the plane nosedived, plummeting 300 feet to the ground. Along with cuts and bruises on her face, Coleman had broken ribs and a broken leg. Those who believed Coleman would never fly again seriously underestimated her gumption. Bessie Coleman, a fierce overcomer, was not about to let the California crack-up scare her out of the sky. Coleman had grew up dirt poor in a tiny town of Waxahachie, Texas. At a young age, she was helping with the care of 3 younger siblings, picking cotton beneath a brutal hot sun, making do with skimpy schooling in a one-room schoolhouse that was a 4-mile walk from her home. Still, this little girl vowed not to be kept down in life. After trying to get a college education and failing because of lack of funds, in 1915, Coleman moved to Chicago, where 2 other older brothers lived. In Chicago, she picked up the art of manicures, working at several barber shops, frequented by influential black men. One of her customers was a millionaire, Robert Sinstack Abbott. He was the founder of the legendary Chicago Defender newspaper. It was through the pages of this newspaper that Coleman kept up with Eugene Bullard, a black American who had earned his wings in France and was serving in France's Air Corps. Coleman was fascinated with flight. 2 white men, Wilbur and Orville Wright, had made history with the first successful airplane flight in 1903. In 1911, a white woman, Harriet Quimby, had made history as America's first licensed female pilot. Bessie Coleman wanted to make aviation history too. When she could find no aviation school in America that would admit blacks, Coleman began taking French lessons and squirreling away all the money she could. In the fall of 1920, with moral and financial support from Robert Sinstack Abbott and others, Coleman made her way to France. There she embarked on a 7-month course at one of the world's finest aviation schools, and then passed the tests that would enable her to return to America with much fanfare. She was the first black female aviator. By the time her plane crashed in California, Coleman had drawn huge crowds at her air shows in Chicago and Boston, New York, and elsewhere in America. She was hailed as Queen Bess, Daredevil, Aviator Tricks. She loved the applause. She loved being a celebrity. She loved sharpening her skills and showing them off. But even more, she loved the idea of starting an aviation school for blacks. In the spring of 1925, Miss Coleman set out on a town of the South to raise money for her school through lecturing and air shows. She appeared in several cities in Texas, among them her hometown, Waxahachie, and Georgia. After wintering in Chicago, she resumed her tour. Coleman reached Jacksonville, Florida in late April 1926. She was scheduled to perform as part of the May Day festivities. People couldn't wait to see her. She did figure eights, barrel rolls, loop-the-loops, and a 2,500-foot parachute jump. The day before the show, Miss Coleman had another pilot wing her up so she could get a fix on a perfect point for her jump. She was not wearing a seatbelt so that she could lean out of the plane for a better view. Up, up, up went the Jenny. Up, up, up to 1,000 feet. Up, up, up to 2,000 feet. To 3,500 feet. Up, up, and the plane went out of control. It nosedived, spiral, it tailspin, and it flipped upside down, flinging Miss Coleman into the sky. She was dead. The pilot never righted the plane, crashing about 1,000 feet from where they left on the ground. Miss Coleman's body laid lifeless on the ground. Bessie Coleman left behind no memoirs, no large sum of money, no aviation school. Nothing but her zest, her zeal, and her will. She inspired many to reach higher, especially black women with an interest in flight. From Willoughby Brown, the first black woman to receive a commercial pilot's license in 1937 and co-founder of an aviation school in Chicago, to Macy Jennison, the first black woman to voyage into outer space in 1992. Famous or not, it's vital that everyone leave a written and oral record of themselves. If nothing else, leave a record of your dreams. Follow your dreams and never give up. I'm inspired by the story of Miss Coleman. She taught herself French. She moved to France, finished her aviation school. She took to the sky in flight, and she aced it. I salute this woman, this brave Baron, this female pilot. I salute Baron Bessie Coleman. Like, subscribe, be a genius, think for yourself, and never give up on your dreams. This is a Marologic channel.